All right, I'm pleased to have with us here today Richard Florida, book author of Who's Your City? Richard, welcome to Traders Nation. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Doing very, very good. I'm glad you can finally make it. Hey, what brought you to write Who's Your City?
Well, I've been looking at where people live and how they move and what they call, urbanism or, economic geography for 20 or 25 years.
Sure.
In that 20 or 25 years, I've actually moved 17 times.
What
I realized is if I want advice on a career or a job or a career change, I can get it. If I want advice on the stock market, I can get it. If I want advice on relationships, I can get it. I can't get any advice and clear thinking on where I or anybody else should move. So that's why I decided to take this 25 years of experience, my own experiences, and write the book.
Right. All right. That's good information. Listen, 40 million Americans move each year. Where are they moving to?
Well, let's get the parameters are really important for folks listening in. 40 million of us move every year.
Yeah.
15 to 20 million of us make a big move. We move to a new city or a new state or out of the country.
Yeah.
And one of the things the book says is that we are moving in a pattern. And it's no longer just city to suburb. Some of us are moving back to the city, especially the young people and the empty nesters. But more importantly, highly educated people are clustering in what I call these big mega regions.
Sure.
And highly educated and talented people who have choice are moving to a reasonably small number of these mega regions across the United States and more so even across the world.
Yeah. All right. Now, what's causing these people to move in certain areas? Obviously, you get a transfer from the company. Maybe there's an area that's hot for employment, better money, better benefits, better companies. Are those just a couple of reasons, to name a few?
Well, fewer and fewer people move because they're transferred, although that's still a major category. We still believe that, IBM means I've been moved. But the average American stays in a job about 3 years, and then they move on to the next thing. About 20% of us move for work, and about 80% of us move for other reasons. We don't like our apartment. We want a better house. We think we'll have a better life in another part of the country. A city seems exciting, and then lots of people who aren't married move. Well, lots of people who are married and have kids move for schools, but lots of people who aren't married move because they think the dating scene. And we go through this. We have kind of the best cities for the young and single, the best cities for families with children, and the best cities for the empty nesters. And I'm just responding to an email from a woman who said she's a 50 to 60-year-old woman. She's divorced, and she's an empty nester, and she's trying to figure out where to go.
Ah, that's interesting. Okay, so let's put this in perspective then, because we're going to have all these different needs uniquely, aren't we? You've got a woman that's retired. She's going to want to be in one place, and then you've got maybe a student that wants to go to a particular school. He's going to veer himself over to another area. So uniquely, we all have our different needs of what cities that we're probably going to go to. Is that correct?
Well, we built a tool at, who'syourcity.com, no apostrophe, just who'syourcity.com. And we built a tool called the Place Finder, which allows people to kind of think this through systematically and actually plug in 3 or 4 towns, cities, villages, suburbs they think they might want to go to. And actually figure out which places might fit them. And that's the key. There's no best city. Or no best place. There's only the place that's best for you and your needs. But one of the things that's really, really interesting is we have 3 big moves in our lives. And I think the first one is critical. And the moms and dads listening in, not only young people, if your kid graduated college, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is encourage them to move home. The most biggest thing that's going to shape their career and their success is more important than where they went to college, is where they end up living, and they've got to pick wisely. Then the second big move comes not when you get married, when you have young kids, and you've got to think about schools and crime rates. And then the third big move, which is the baby boomer move, comes when the kids have left the house. You have some resources, some accumulated wealth, and you can pick that empty nester move. At those 3 times in your life, you owe it to yourself to pay real attention.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have a problem getting my kids out of the house in the first place, let alone, refusing for them to come back at all. Hey, let me ask you something. The house in... That's correct. The house is just like paradise. I mean, my wife and I talk about this all the time. They're not going to go nowhere, all right?
Absolutely.
I think I'm going to have a problem with that. All right, housing, the way that it is that going to affect where people are going to go now? Is that going to play?
Well, I think one of the things is I talk about in the book is that if you want to have economic opportunity, you've got to be mobile. Sure. You've got to be geographically mobile and go where the jobs are. If your mortgage is underwater and you can't get your money out and you're stuck, that's going to introduce a lot of. And I think some people just have to suck it up and do it because economic activity is shifting, and we know there are about a dozen, maybe less than a dozen, superstar areas in the United States. New York and investment banking, Northern California and high tech, which is not suffering as bad as other parts of California, the Boston area, Washington, D.C. for certain areas in media. These superstars are the places that are at least holding ground, maybe declining a little, and in some neighborhoods increasing. It's the other places in the Midwest and the resort destinations that are getting creamed, and I think, people have to be very careful and very smart, and my view right now is to rent, and I think I'm not the only person saying this. If you don't have to own, don't own.
Really? Okay, so renting's the way to go. Maybe on the investment side, you think maybe speculators will come in, buy some of these houses up on the cheap because people are going to be renting more?
Maybe if they can get the right deal, but I think we have no idea how low this goes. And, I was just in Miami Beach this 4th of July because we live in Toronto now, and I wanted to come. I had Canada Day here. I wanted to enjoy 4th back home, and we went around and looked at some stuff, and I'm not sure the prices have adjusted to where they need to be to really reflect the market conditions. I think what happens, folks listening in know this.
Yeah.
People get attached to their house, and they got money into it. That's their basis, and they don't want to face reality. In the next 2 or 3 years, there's going to be a lot of reality coming right to people's doorstep, which I think is tragic, but it doesn't mean that the harsh reality won't be felt.
All right, a couple of minutes ago, 2 things you mentioned. One, you've got some tools, and then, of course, the Superstar Cities. The tools that you provide for people, it's online. Does it come up with the Superstar Cities that you talked about?
No, it really lets you. It's at who'syourcity.com. We call it the Place Finder. It really lets you think through. It's a 10-step tool. It's easy. It probably takes you 5 to 10 minutes to do it. It allows you to think through the places that you think you want to live, whatever those places are. And, here's the thing, folks. Yeah. Most people I know spend more time buying a car than they do picking a place to live. They'll go look online, look at the reports, look at the prices, negotiate like the Dickens. Most people just kind of accept the place they live or kind of make a move for an external reason. You've got to give this the same thought that you give to your car, your investment portfolio, your choice of career, and your movement up. If you don't, you're shortchanging yourself. Yeah,
if not, more due diligence needs to be involved here because of sizable commitment to it. It's just that simple.
It's the biggest investment we'll make, and I'll tell you, what most people make the mistake. Here's the big mistake for folks listening in and your listeners.
Hit us.
They're looking for affordability. Wrong. You're looking for the best return over not just your real estate, but over your life course and your career. And think of that return not only as the appreciation in your house.
Yeah.
How much is that move going to leverage your career?
That's
and
right.
how much additional income? How much is it going to leverage the lifestyle you want? And balance that decision. Make a balanced and smart decision that says both with regard to real estate, lifestyle, but most importantly, we moved to Toronto because I got a great institute here.
Yeah.
We have research funding. It leveraged my career, even though my housing costs went up 30%.
Sure.
Over the course of my life and the leverage I could get, it was the right move for me.
So, Richard,
that's what we want people to think about.
We're talking about ROI on a professional and personal level. All right, we're out of time. Where can we find the book?
You got it, brother.
All right, where's the book?
ROI at the professional and personal level. You guys have a great, great day. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Richard Florida, folks. Who's Your City? Go out and get a copy today. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your local favorite bookstore, of course, wherever fine books are sold. You can get a copy of Who's Your City? Richard Florida. All right, up next, I'm going to shotgun a couple more stocks out and take a quick call. We'll be right back.